today I will be sharing 5 new dinners with you that you can make in just one pot on the stove. The best part about these dinners is they only have about 5 ingredients in them, not including seasonings, of course. So these dinners are simple to throw together, but they're amazingly delicious. Let's get to my kitchen now. To kick us off today, we are making this one pan lasagna. This one is really good. So to the pan on my stove, I added a pound of ground beef, or you could use Italian sausage, ground turkey, chicken, or any meat substitute. Cook your ground beef through, then season it with 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper, 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning, 1 teaspoon of paprika, and 1 teaspoon of onion powder and garlic powder, or use any type of seasonings that you like. Give this a stir. Now you're going to add in 2 cups of beef broth, followed by 8 ounces of elbow pasta, and then add in 24 ounces of marinara sauce. I'm just using a jar just to make it easy. Give this a stir and let this simmer on your stove for about 10 minutes, stirring occasionally. And if the liquid line gets too low while this is simmering, the pasta really won't cook properly, so you could add in 1/2 cup of water at a time until the pasta is cooked through if the liquid line gets too low like this. Now that my pasta is tender, I'm going to stir in 1/2 cup of mozzarella cheese. Of course, the cheese is optional, but I just love cheese. If you've been around here for a while, you probably know. But just let the cheese melt down, and then you could serve this delicious dinner up. We absolutely love this one pan lasagna so much. Also, it is so amazing that it just cooks in one pan on the stove. I love one pan or one pot meals so much for that reason, just because you have little to no dishes at the end of the dinner. I serve this with a side salad with spring mix, tomatoes, croutons, carrots, and ranch dressing for the dressing. Now we're making this chicken pot pie soup, and it is so warm, cozy, and just so perfect. Into this large pot on my stove, I added in 1 tablespoon of butter and 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Then I added in 1 pound of cubed chicken breast, and nobody likes bland chicken, so I seasoned it with 1 teaspoon of the following seasonings: salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, paprika, oregano, thyme, and rosemary. Stir the chicken around to get coated in all of those delicious seasonings, and cook the chicken through at this point. Now I'm going to add in 2 cups of frozen mixed vegetables, or you could really use any type of vegetables that you like. Let the vegetables cook in with the chicken for a couple of minutes. Now you're going to stir in 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour. Stir that flour in until it looks kind of like golden brown and it is just incorporated with the rest of the ingredients. Now toss in some more seasonings. So add in 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper, and 1 teaspoon of rosemary. This soup is going to be really flavorful. Now I'm adding in 7 cups of chicken broth, or you could use vegetable broth. Give this a stir and scrape all those flavorful bits off the bottom of the pot. Let this simmer on your stove for about 15 minutes. And while this is simmering away, I did want to serve this soup alongside of some garlic knots. So I found these garlic knots at my Walmart, the grocery store. I have never bought them before, but you just literally poke a couple holes in the bag and then bake them just like this. I was very skeptical about it, but I wanted to try it for you guys just to tell you how they turned out. But I'm just going to pop this in my oven now. And now that the simmering time is up for my soup, I just added in 1 cup of half and half, or if you want it even creamier, add in 1 cup of heavy cream. Now you could serve this gorgeous soup up. This chicken pot pie soup is total comfort food to the max for me. It is so warm and cozy and just perfect for this time of year. And those garlic knots were surprisingly good. I was kind of skeptical about them at first. I do wish they had more of a garlic flavor, but my family really enjoyed them, so I do recommend them. Now we're getting started on this sausage and rice, so over to my cutting board, I'm going to cut 14 ounces of smoked sausage into half moons. You could use any smoked sausage you like, or like chicken sausage. Over to the pot on my stove, I added in 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Then I added in the sausage along with 1 green bell pepper. I just tossed it in there. Sear the sausage and the pepper on a higher heat for about 3 to 5 minutes until it is like golden brown and gorgeous on the outside. Now add in 6 ounces of tomato paste. I'm just using this can, and if you open up the top of the can of tomato paste and take it off and then just push the bottom through, it works wonderfully. But stir that tomato paste in. This will enhance the flavor. Now add in 2 1/3 cup of chicken broth along with 1 cup of uncooked white rice or jasmine rice. For the seasonings, I added in a teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of pepper, teaspoon of garlic powder and onion powder, then 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. Give this a stir and scrape those flavorful bits off the bottom of your pot and let this simmer on your stove covered for about 20 to 25 minutes. You do want to stir this occasionally while it's simmering, and if the liquid line gets too low, feel free to add in about 1/3 cup more water at a time until your rice is tender. Once your rice is nice and fluffy, you could serve this dinner up. I sprinkled the top of my plate with a little bit of Parmesan cheese, but this dinner is super rich, delicious, and flavorful. You could always make it your own by adding ingredients or subtracting ingredients. You can make it with ground beef instead of sausage, or really anything you'd like. Now we're making this Italian chicken and rice. I have about 6 smaller boneless, skinless chicken thighs right here. I'm going to season them with a packet of dry Italian seasoning mix. I'm just going to season both sides of the chicken right now. After I was finished seasoning the chicken, I just brought it over to the pot on my stove. And I do want to let you know, if you don't want to use chicken thighs, you could use chicken breast if you'd like. I just like how juicy the chicken thighs are. But into that pot, I added a tablespoon of olive oil. Once my oil was hot, I added my chicken, and you're going to want to sear the chicken on a higher heat for about 2 minutes on each side. So you don't need your chicken cooked through. You just want it seared so it could kind of like form a nice crust on the outside. But after your chicken was seared on both sides, you just want to remove it to a plate and set the plate to the side. Into the same pan the chicken was seared in, add 1 diced yellow onion along with a tablespoon of olive oil. Cook the onion for around 2 minutes. Now go ahead and stir in a tablespoon of minced garlic. After that garlic is fragrant, it will take about 15 seconds. Add in 2 1/3 cup of chicken broth. Just scrape all those flavorful bits off the bottom of the pan. I know there's quite a bit because you seared the chicken, but those flavorful bits will make the rice so amazing. You gotta just trust me. But after you're through scraping the bits off the bottom of the pan, add in 1 cup of uncooked white rice or jasmine rice. I did rinse my rice, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Give this a stir and then place the chicken back on top. Cover this with a lid and let this simmer on your stove on a low heat for about 20 to 25 minutes or until the rice is so fluffy and nice and tender. If you are looking for a classic chicken and rice recipe that only cooks in one pot on the stove and has very minimal ingredients, this is for you. The chicken is like crispy on the outside and juicy in the middle, and that rice is so flavorful. I can't even explain it to you. You just have to try it. Now we are making this taco soup, and I just love how hearty and filling this taco soup is. So to the pot on my stove, I added in a pound of ground beef. I'm going to break my ground beef up and I'm going to cook it through. Once it was cooked through, I just removed any excess grease from my pot. Now I'm going to add in 1 undrained can of black beans along with an undrained can of corn and an undrained can of petite diced tomatoes. Now add in 1 can of tomato sauce, and then I filled the can of tomato sauce up with water, so now I'm adding in a can of water. Now add in 2 to 3 tablespoons of taco seasoning and give this a stir. I know this is really easy, so let this simmer covered on your stove for about 20 minutes and then your house is going to be smelling so good. Once the simmering time is up, you could serve your soup up, and I don't know about you, but I think my favorite part, or one of my favorite parts of taco soup is the toppings on top. So I topped mine with shredded cheese, sour cream, lime, avocado, and tortilla strips, but of course this taco soup is still super good without any of the toppings. And I just wanted to wish you a happy holidays from my little family to you. And here's a secret that I have never told you guys. Well, when I started YouTube years ago, all of our groceries were either coming from food stamps or WIC. One day my daughter ran out of her formula and I asked the WIC office for one more can for the month, and they said no. I felt like such a failure that day as a mom, but thankfully someone ended up buying my daughter formula and it got us through the month. That was the reason, and the same day I started my YouTube channel 4 years ago. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching my videos, being kind, and liking me for me. You all mean the world to me and my little family. So thank you for being here today.